Howdy, how are you today? I'm Bob Langston. I am the Sustainability and Conservation Outreach Coordinator with the North Carolina Zoo. Now, currently the zoo is closed because we're taking all the necessary precautions to make sure everybody stays as safe as possible during the coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak. And I'm trying to maintain the appropriate distance of 6 feet between us, so stick with me. Something that often causes confusion are job titles and the names that we're given as far as the jobs we do. If you go onto Google and do a search for Sustainability and Conservation Outreach Coordinator, there's probably only maybe 5 of us anywhere in the world that have a title like that. So let's talk a little bit more about what Mr. Bob does. By the way, I'm okay if you call me Mr. Bob. That is absolutely perfect. One of the things I often say is I consider myself to be a naturalist. So what is, in fact, a naturalist? And if you look that up, what you'll find is this definition. Naturalists are defined as an expert in or a student of natural history. Natural history is the history of nature, living things, interactions between various organisms, and various things within an environment. That can be living things, non-living things. It can be rocks, it can be soil, it can be air, it can be plants, it can be animals. So we study all of those sorts of things. Now, I mentioned that it's either an expert in or a student of. I personally don't consider myself to be an expert. I do consider myself to be a student of natural history. That being said, students have textbooks. I have mine. Bear with me just for a moment. Several books that I often use and carry with me are these, and they're field guides for the most part. Field guides simply means that while I'm out here and I'm watching things, I can identify them. I don't know them all. Most of us don't. When I see plants I don't know, I'll pull out this book. This is the Audubon Field Guide to Wildflowers. Here's a hint. A lot of the things that you hear, wildflowers, sometimes other folks refer to them as weeds. We'll take a look at some of those a little bit later on. Maybe not today, but later on. I also happen to have this book, which is a field guide to birds. I'm constantly amazed by birds and the things they do. And this one is a handy little book that has a lot of activities, and I'll help you with some of those. We'll go through some of them that'll maybe help you guys to learn a lot more about this natural world. So a little bit more about what this naturalist thing is. Naturalists, how do we get that way? Well, if you go look at all of the college catalogs across the United States, it's probably unlikely that you're going to see any of them that have a program in how to become a naturalist. You can study a lot of things. Zoology is really the study of animal biology, and that helps, but it doesn't mean everything. One of the classes I took along the way that was really beneficial is called wildlife ecology. Wildlife ecology teaches you a lot about the relationships between different organisms that are happening out in the world. As an example, when I walk out here and I look around and I go, that one is a plant eater. That one eats the plant eaters. And that one is not a plant or an animal. It's fungi. So those are different things. Knowing that information, especially with wildlife ecology, it's really easy to be able to walk into any ecosystem. It's a big word. That's basically a chunk of the earth and all of the things in it, living, non-living, but how they interact with each other. So I can walk into an ecosystem where I've never been before, take a quick look around. There's the plants. Those are the plant eaters. There's the guy over there that's eating the plant eaters. Ooh, and those guys over there, they're helping to decompose that predator after he passes away to get those nutrients back into the environment. That's a big deal too, and we may even take a look at some of those over the course of the next few weeks. Naturalists have a couple of talents, and most of these aren't things that are actually taught. One of the things we've learned over time is to have a really keen sense of observation. Walk around and you'll notice something moving that's not supposed to be there. There's a small bird over there. walk around in a brown forest in the wintertime and suddenly you see something green. Is it a plant coming out early? Is it a lizard? We don't know. So those are some of the things. So we have keen senses of observation. We have also what's called real-world common sense. That is no way intended to be some gift of intelligence. It's not. What it means is we understand the relationships between various parts of the living world. So when we do look at something and go, oh, that's his role, that's what he does, those are the really cool things. The third thing that most naturalists have is a sense that we're going to call this stewardship for the planet. So that means we want to take care of things. I have spent the better part of the last 16 or 17 years going out and talking to many people about trash, litter, water quality protection, and various parts of that and components to it. In the next week or two, we may have a conversation about that, so I'll invite you to come back and join me when that comes around. So, a keen sense of observation, real-world common sense, and a sense of stewardship in people that are students of natural history. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? How about if I invite you to join me and learn more about how you can become a naturalist right here in your own neighborhood? Well, we're in my neighborhood today, so let's see. We have Mr. Bob. Mr. Bob's a naturalist, and Mr. Bob's in his neighborhood. So why don't we start calling this Mr. Bob, Neighborhood Naturalist? What do you think? Are you ready to join me? Cool. Come on back. We'll let you know when the next episode's coming. Thanks, and take care of yourselves, all right? Bye now.